about this today. Michael Vessels presented this idea, and it was a great idea because we have a lot of new advances in technology as far as cooking food goes. So I'm going to let him explain a little bit of why he thought that this was a great idea to talk about, and some of his experience and knowledge.
Well, thanks. I'll do the best I can. The reason that I suggested maybe doing electric pressure canning is because I grow a lot of vegetables. I like doing that. I'm in an electric scooter and I don't have a lot of upper body strength. So Virginia, my wife, said, well, why don't we get an electric pressure canner and try that? So she got me that little second one there. It just does pints. And I have a table that's about 1.5 feet by 3 feet. And someone that's like me that has limited upper body strength, or you can't stand, and it would be dangerous to stand at a stove with a heavy cannon. That was just kind of out of the question. But with the electric canner, you can set it anywhere you want as long as you got a plug. And I just do pints basically because it doesn't take very much strength to take a pint jar out, and it's very safe and it's very satisfying to can your own food. And why would you want to can your own food when you can go to the grocery and buy it? You know, this is a little bit simpler, easier to go to the grocery. But if you pick up say a can of tomato juice and look at all the ingredients that's in it. But if you look at what I can, or anybody can, my tomato juice has tomatoes, salt, and lemon juice, and that's all it has. And this is some of what I've canned. So I started looking about, you know, how did canning come about, and why would we can? Well, you know, people have been preserving food for thousands of years, using the sun, you know, drying fish, dehydrating fruits and stuff. But as I was doing a little research, I found out that pressure canning came about because Napoleon, when he was fighting his wars and his army was hundreds of miles away, by the time they would get fruit and vegetables to them, they would be all rotted. So he said he wanted some way to come out to preserve his food, and so he had different people looking for ways to preserve it, and that's how canning come about. But I just thought that there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to can because they're afraid of standing in a stove, and they're afraid it would be too dangerous for them. And I just wanted people to know that people like me that's got limited mobility can still can. And if you're like me and you like to grow your own vegetables and you can grow more than you eat, you can either give them away or they just go bad, or you can can them and eat them later. So it's nice in January or February or March to open up some green beans or tomato juice or tomatoes or okra and eat what you produced several months before that. So.
All right. Okay. Well, I will take it from here then. Okay. So we have given you a lineup of different types of canning equipment. This right here, I'll start with the end and work my way up. So this right here is something that it's kind of industrialized jelly making. Okay? And those who have made jelly, there's a lot of stirring, or you're going to get sediment on the bottom and sticking. So this stirs it for you. And those who do this a lot have realized really quickly how handy that this is. But it is an electric jelly maker, so it's a water bath canner. okay? So you, this, you just remove that center part, and it becomes the water bath of the canner, or water bath canner. This is what stirs the jelly, okay? So this is just one thing, it's one of those things that people who do this very often will say that it's one of the best kitchen gadgets you didn't have to have. That's kind of this. The other funny thing about this is it's really up and coming, and then they decided to discontinue it. So I don't know, maybe it'll be a different color, and you know they'll bring it back. So, but a lot of if you have one of these, they're starting to be worth more money because people really like them. They discontinued them, so the price is going up on them. Okay, so this is old school. What most of us have seen over and over. This is just a basic water bath canner, okay? If you have used this very often, it's very easy. One of the things that I ran into a lot is not being able to put very many in here, and them staying steady enough to not fall over if you use too small of a jar, like the jelly jars and things like that. They have all different shapes and sizes of them now, and so some of them do not fit well or stay well because they like to move around and shake and shimmy whenever it starts bubbling on them, okay? So this is the basic. It's very easy to get a hold of. You've got your racks. I keep looking inside like you know what I'm looking at. So in here is the wire rack, and you just set it down in there, and this makes it easy to lift up your jellies or jams or whatever your water bath canning. So water bath canning opposed to electric canning. I'm a teacher at heart. I taught, so it makes me want to ask, why would I water bath can? What do I water bath can? Acidic. Okay. So what it can do, acidic foods like tomatoes, okay, they can fight their own battle, okay? We bring it up to, the picture of that one just left me, but we bring it up to enough temperature to start cooking process, but you don't have to go up to 240 of the pressure cooking process, okay? So the lower the acidity foods, like our green beans, okay, the lower acidity foods can't fight their own battle. So those are the ones that we have to be putting in the pressure cookers, okay? If you see somebody say they water bath canned, the only time that you can use a water bath canned green bean is if you put it in the refrigerator, okay? But I still probably wouldn't recommend that at all, okay? Because what can grow, especially green beans, do not ever let anybody let you have pumpkin. Do not ever eat pumpkin that somebody said that they pressure cooked or water bath. It can never be canned, okay, unless it's in a commercial canning mechanism that keeps it at a much higher temperature for a much longer amount of time and steady, okay? But botulism spores. You heard of botulism?
Yeah.
Foodborne illness? Okay? It's one that can cause death, okay? So botulism spores causes rigidity. It can paralyze your lungs. It can kind of show stroke symptoms on your face, okay? And the only way to kill botulism is to get a temperature up above 240 or 240, okay? So this will never reach that, okay? Now, this is our next in line, okay? This is probably what we recognize the most as far as a pressure cooker goes. Now, these have moved up in the world, okay? They are much safer than the old school pressure cooker. Now, I will tell you, even though Grandma passed these down to you and you love Grandma and it was the best thing ever, I have tested a whole lot of these, and that's one of the things that I do here is I can test your dial gauge, and they need to be tested once a year, okay? I can test those. I can tell you if they meet the right pressure or not. And I can tell you most of grandmas do not, okay? And this is not something that you want to roll the dice on, okay? All right? The other thing that grandmas might not have are all of the security mechanisms that they have now started placing on these. Or even if she did have a good one, they may have just been worn out, okay? You don't know how long it's been sitting there. You don't know what it was setting in, that kind of thing. So the same thing, I would not recommend buying this type of thing at a yard sale, that kind of stuff, just because you don't know how it was kept, how it was handled, okay? These are one thing that there is a line of error to. You need to see, whenever you're cooking with these, you need to get these up to 15-pound pressure, okay? And if this needs to be wiggling, but if it hits 15 pounds too fast, you need to back it off of the heat, because then you're going to be overcooking, okay? And your consistency, it's not, whenever you're overcooking with a pressure cooker, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to eat it if it's too hot. It just means the consistency may be not what you were anticipating, okay? You may have mushy green beans, really mush, or salsa that's more of a contact. So that being said, if you don't keep your eye on this, if it loses pressure, you need to, and it doesn't hold its pressure at 15 pounds, you need to stop everything, take it off the heat, let it depressurize, and this little button on top, whenever it's up, okay, you can't see it because you're far away, but there's a little button that's popped up, okay? It is full power when it's popped up. When it's down is when you open it. What happens if I open it when it's just popped up? Blows up, okay? All right, so these you don't play with, okay? There's also a, yes, you have gaskets that you have to check and make sure are tight and working, and your seals, okay? If it's not fully sealed, you are you awake? If it's not fully sealed, also, you're not going to get the right temperature, and it's not going to hold 15 pounds, okay? So there's a lot of aspects of this specific type, which they are not bad, but they are something that you really need to watch, okay? And I would highly caution eating from people that you don't know, okay? And that being said, even at barbecues, eating green beans that you're not really sure who made them, or if they canned them themselves, and if they knew how to do it, okay? All right, so anyway, so if this doesn't hold its pressure, you're gonna take it out, you're gonna put it in the refrigerator, okay? It will not be shelf stable, okay? All right, so we're gonna go to the next line. This one I'm very proficient in, and it doesn't pan, okay? There's a lot of electric pressure cookers that are solely for cooking food, okay? They do not stay at a consistent temperature that you need the canners to, okay? So, no matter what anybody says, even though this is a pressure cooker, if it says pressure cooker, that's not what you're wanting, okay? You want a canner, all right? So, the same with these though, they all have their own mechanisms to tell you what's going on. This one is a little different than the one I use at home, but these are really cool in that this old school kind, you have to wait. You have to wait for this to stop jiggling, okay? And then you have to wait for this trigger to pop up. There's no fast release, okay? These have a fast release. And you just pull this back and you wait for the little button to go down again. On this one, it's different than mine. Oh, there it is. Well, anyway, it's there. Yeah, so you can fast release it, but you're gonna have to watch your recipe because some of them will say, let it slow release, because that's still your cooking time, okay? Also, whenever you're cooking with these, You have the same thing, all right? So you don't want one of these to get damaged. So a lot of times they'll come with backup, all right? What's the difference? This one's red. So, but they're both the same. So whenever you're cooking with this, just make sure you read your directions. It comes with all the stuff in there. Don't let it fool you. You still can't can in it, okay? It's for bigger pieces of meat, that kind of stuff. But I love them. These, in an electric pressure cooker, they are slow cookers, all right? So you can use them the same way as you do your regular slow cooker, or you can use it as a pressure cooker. But seriously, whenever you're thinking about, okay, I'm a working mom forever, okay? If I can cook something in 30 minutes that would have taken me in a slow cooker 4 to 8 hours, I'm gonna cook the 30 minutes, okay? Same thing, same consistency. So I had 4, keep wanting to say a brand name that we all call a slow cooker, but we can't do that, okay? So, so I got rid of all of my 4 of those slow cookers, and I primarily use my electric pressure cooker for food, okay? But it has a saute setting, it has, and I'll have classes on these coming up soon. I'm kind of new and trying to bring more classes out, but I haven't got there yet. So anyway, this, I was telling Savannah, I even rolled the dice, and everybody had said that these things could cook a frozen chicken in about an hour and a half from frozen. So I was like, I made a separate meal because I wasn't sure about it, and I did it. I put it in an hour and a half. I put it in there completely frozen. It's not that easy to get this outside of it off, by the way, if it's frozen and you put it, but the little bag that it goes with. But you put it in there. I let it depressurize, pulled it out. I stuck a meat thermometer in there, and it reached 170. Okay, so it's something that it's legit. These things are great. They do a lot of different things. Whenever I was a school teacher, we made New York style cheesecakes in the pressure cooker in half the time, which means half the energy. So that's a cost savings, right? Because New York style cheesecake, if you've ever made one, takes quite some time to get perfectly, barely jiggly firm in the center. And this also keeps moisture in there too. So it turned out surprisingly really well. It was one of those, I was Hail Marying it and just gave it to some of my seniors to see how they were doing. But anyway, so there's a lot of weird different functions that you can do with these. Okay, so I am going to jump over, and Michael, I'm sorry, I'm about ready to do a dig on yours. Okay, can I do it? Okay. All right, so see this one right here, it's Michael's. It is not FDA approved. Okay, so any of them that are any different than this one right here, and it's bigger. This is the only USDA approved electric canner. Okay, and it's the only one that I can say its name. Its name is Presto. Okay, I had to call UK this afternoon just to make sure I could say Presto, but I can say Presto. Because it's the one and only that is approved by the USDA. And I gave you the thing that looks like a whole big long letter that you probably don't want to read. That is from UK telling you that this is safe. Okay, it's the only one that has been tested and held 240 degrees consistently. Okay, other cool thing, you don't have to see the temperature on this. You don't watch the pound that's on this. Okay, it does all of that for you. If you're at a higher altitude, you don't have to worry about it. It adjusts for you. Okay, so it takes some of the human error, okay, out of pressure cooking, okay? So, and it has way more mechanisms on it for safety. And whenever I get, there we go.
What kind of dollar signs are you talking?
I tried to hide that. Okay, I am not endorsing this in any way. I'm just saying it's the only one that's okay. Like the only one that UK says it's okay, or the FDA says it's okay. I'm going to show you how to use it. Now, that being said, whenever you're talking about is safety worth the price? You know? If you were to be holding on to one of those and it wasn't quite latched on there, you might lose a couple thumbs. Okay? And thumbs are pretty important. So I'm just saying these are much safer than they used to be. I'm not saying that those at home aren't safe because they are, but you have to watch them. There is a line of human error. Okay? So these look very similar but different to what the other ones look like. Okay? You still have a little bit of a cage. You have a cage on this one that helps whenever all of your pressure starts to pressurize and you have glass containers in there, the less room it has to jiggle, the better. Okay? So it comes with a little bit different of a device. Okay? You can also buy more of these. You can, there's a lot of different attachments that you can put in all of these to help with everything's stability, and these are much easier whenever you're stacking jars on top of each other. The other thing, Michael, what size was it that you used for yours? The jars?
That one only holds 5 pints.
5 pints. Okay, so this one, this one is, what is it, a 23 quart? I think it's the same as the other one. So this one holds, so pressure canning, it can hold half pints, pints, and quarts. This can also water bath, okay? In water bath, you cannot use quarts, okay? But you can use all the rest. It also lets you go step by step on how to work it. And the other type of pressure cooker, that's a food pressure cooker, not a canning pressure cooker, over there. They also give you step-by-step directions a lot of times, and those will even ask you what you're cooking. You know, are you cooking chicken? Are you cooking that kind of thing? So this right here, it'll say pressure can or boiling water canning. You choose which one you're gonna do, and then it automatically knows what it's gonna heat it to, okay? And it's gonna give you prompts as it goes. It's going to tell you and shut itself off. If it's saying, hey, you need to, this hasn't got a good seal on it, it'll just shut itself off and give you error codes. So what if that happens in the middle of your process time? Goes in the refrigerator, okay? There's no keeping it out for years on your shelf, okay?
And you can't redo it.
You can't redo it. No, you can't start over the process. The temperatures, the temperature's already dropped on it, and so it's had time for bacteria to be able to grow. Okay, and what I've always say, you need everything 40 to 140. Okay, anything in the middle is a danger zone. Okay, so whenever you're wanting to kill botulism, it's got to be at 240. Okay, so whenever you're starting to come down into that danger zone, you're giving botulism the chance to strike back. Okay, let's see. I'm going to I'm going to let you see a couple little videos of this type in action. Okay? Yes.
I have a question about botulism. Can you smell it, or like if you open a can of green beans, can you smell the?
Well, That's a very good question, and I'll find the answer to that. Whenever you know,
I don't think you can tell.
I don't know. The best way to know also if there's contamination is if there's a seal broken at all. Sometimes colors will change drastically. Yeah, it really, and it sometimes depends on the food in it, the changes in how it's going to present. But the biggest thing is, when in doubt, don't ever, I always think of Adam Sandler on Big Daddy, where he's throwing down the cans to get them cheaper. That's like one of the worst things that you can do is buy dented cans, because that can automatically break that seal and allow invaders, okay? Because you don't know what's been set around that or on that or the environment that it's been in, okay? Make sense? All right, off from,
I googled the botulism.
yes, oh, thank you.
You cannot see, smell, or taste the toxin that causes botulism, but even a small taste of food containing the toxin can be deadly.
Fun fact, I also, in another life, I worked with babies in WIC for 13 years. I was over 6 counties, all the purchase districts WIC program, and so my first area of expertise was vomit babies, okay? Fun fact, the honeybees that we're gonna be having, there can be botulism spores found in honey. The other thing about that though, only ones that it's going to hit will be babies, okay? Because they have no immune system and it's a really small amount that could be found in it, okay? So don't be putting that on babies' gums.
So is that why they said don't give honey to babies?
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly it, yes. Yeah, don't do it, and I will throw my mother under the bus. My child would not take a pacifier. And I came in and my mom had her just sucking away on that passy. And my first thought was, she put bourbon on it or something, what did she do? And she was like, no, just a little bit of honey. And I about fell over,
Yeah.
this is literally everything I've ever talked about. And I was watching her, and then my mom was a surgical nurse. And she called me, but she was thinking that I was, a silly daughter and didn't know what I was talking about, even though I talked about it every day. She said, she went and asked a doctor, and she was like, she called me the next day, is Becca showing any signs of rigidity? I was like, she talked to a pediatrician? Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun fact about bees, but they do save the world, so no hate. Okay, now I can't get back to where it was. Nope. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're moving.
Can I ask another question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking that the botulism grows in the canned item that can't fight its own battle.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a water bath canner for tomatoes or applesauce or whatever those probably don't have botulism because they fight their own.
Right.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then you even go a step further most of the time and put like a lemon juice or the enzyme.
Citric acid.
Yes, citric acid. In there too to take it an extra step further.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that it is. I would be much more likely to have some tomatoes from
Yeah.
somebody I didn't know than I would green beans.
Right. Or
Okay.
corn or whatever.
Or corn, or yes. So, it's very similar to frozen foods. Okay, so the longer it's been sitting there, the quality is going down. Okay, it's the same for frozen kind of foods. But frozen foods have never had anything killed. It just stopped it. Okay, so if it was a little funky when you froze it, it's gonna still be funky when you defrost it. Okay, and canning, again, it would mainly be the quality. I definitely wouldn't do anything meat-wise that's really, really old. But as far as several years old, it wouldn't hurt you. But again, you're gonna have to check the seals. If you see, like if you go to Granny's house and she has a whole bunch of canned stuff and everything's dirty all around it, or there's a lot of rust, don't eat it. Okay, there could have been invaders, okay? But if it looks pretty clean, no rust, seal's still there, I would feel comfortable. But again, if it's been there for a long time and you're really not sure how long, and you don't know the temperature that it's been put at, so if it's been out in a garage, remember me talking about the danger zone, 40 to 140, anything in between those, this is the danger zone. So if there were any contamination left, if they didn't process it just right, it's had time to grow bacteria. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if it's been stored in a basement that's pretty cool, because the lower you get, it tends to be the cooler the temperatures, or in a cellar, not very many people have those anymore, but, and that's where they used to keep a lot of their surplus canned items, was in cellars and things like that, that didn't get a whole lot of sunlight and that stayed at a really constant lower temperature.
Other than pumpkin, what would you not can? Like, I'm thinking zucchini, squishy.
It would be, they're all in the squash type of family. And they are all gonna just be a smasher kind of consistency. And it would really just depend on how long you're cooking it. And there's a lot that goes like how old the squash is, you know.
Like in your garden, you normally make more zucchini than you can.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how would you preserve that?
Dehydrate it.
That's what I do.
I would dehydrate it, and believe it or not, it comes somewhat back to life. If you ever see the packets of seasoning and packets of sun-dried tomatoes and things like that, when you put them back into water, they get perky, kind of again. I mean, they're not.
You could roast them and be halfway alright.
Yeah, or I would do soups and things like that, where they're staying in with liquid and keeping them, putting it back into them. But yeah, tomatoes, lemons, limes, you can, I mean, really anything with rounding. Yeah, well, there's a lot of information, and but yeah, I can have classes. On Fat Tuesday, we're having a king cake making class. So keep an eye out for our website. I'm trying to have any fun things, classes coming up, and if you'd like to help me teach it, I can make the classes bigger. So yeah. So I would love extra hands on deck. And if you would like to teach anything, you have a specialty, give me a holler too. I'm Kelly Alsip. I'm the FCS agent, so Family Consumer Science. Y'all have a good night.